Welcome to RSAC Conference 2025. We are recording this interview after RSA 2025, so please just pretend that we are enjoying the ambiance of Broadcast Alley right now. I am your host, Mandy Logan, and I am joined by Amit Sahav, I want to make sure I get this right, Chief Growth Officer, because I really enjoy that title. I really enjoy that is your title. Chief Growth Officer and co-founder at Savient. Welcome, Amit.
Thank you, Mandy, for having me today.
I am so glad you are here. And this is a fascinating intersection of topics to discuss. So I'm very curious with Savient positioning and bringing forth capabilities for enterprises facing the convergence of AI and needing to handle identity management while we are becoming like we're at the precipice of an incredible onslaught of the amount of non-human identities that are taking over. And I am very interested. So, why do you hold that current IAM models and security measures are not going to keep up?
Yeah, absolutely, Mandy. I think there are a couple of key reasons. I think traditionally, when the market has looked at identity governance and administration tools, the primary driver always has been, we are just trying to meet compliance objectives, which are where you are just looking at what kind of an access a person has and just ensuring that someone reviews that access on a periodic basis, right? So
Right.
that's a very rudimentary level of security control that some of the compliance controls are asking for, and that's the least that organizations are trying to deliver. Or sometimes the organizations are looking at IGA from an automation standpoint, where you are just trying to ensure that anytime someone is requesting for access, you just get them the right access very quickly, so that they can get productive very quickly in the environment. And I think with the whole concept of identity being the new perimeter,
Mhm.
all of that is out of the window, right? Or most organizations that we have been engaging with, they are really looking at this being a golden opportunity for them to rethink how identity needs to be reevaluated in the organization. How do they ensure that they are putting in the right controls which ensure that only the right people get access to the right assets whenever the right business requirement is there. And then, like you rightly mentioned, it's not about just the right person, but also the right non-human getting access to the right assets.
Absolutely. I mean, do you find it as intriguing as I do to think about the sheer number of non human identities that we will be faced with in the coming, I mean, in the next 3 or 4 years, and think about in the coming decades?
Absolutely. I think when we look at the traditional on-premise architecture, there used to be a healthy mix of human and non-human access within the on-premise environment as well. But I think once you look at cloud and the greater interaction between all the different type of microservices and APIs that are floating around in your cloud environment, it just has gone to the next level, right? In terms of how many non-human identities are there within an organization today, and how do we ensure that we are putting in the right access controls and the right governance controls for securing those non-human assets on the cloud.
Amit, I am curious from your customer base or your own personal experiences right now, what are complications that you see resulting from the business use of AI right now?
Certainly, I think any organization who is not evaluating AI to be part of their IT architecture is already behind in the market. So
True.
definitely, there is a lot of opportunity for organizations to leverage AI across the board, not only to improve their business but also to improve their security posture. And I think many organizations are, I would say, cautiously curious in terms of how AI can be leveraged to again strengthen their identity security perimeter. And they are aware about some of the potential risks that could happen if you don't handle AI well enough. Simply because when you are dealing with very sensitive information like, who has access to financially significant documents in my organization,
Mhm.
and if you are feeding that information to AI, and if someone is working with your IGA controls, sometimes there is a risk of that information being leaked to unwarranted sources, right? So organizations are definitely conscious about how to leverage AI to not only improve their governance processes, but also to leapfrog it and make the overall governance processes more dynamic, more real time, where we can weigh in a lot more risk signals than before, and be able to take decisions at scale.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, being able to have more immediate risk analysis from being able to integrate the AI tools is, to me, if I put myself in the security team's position or in the CISO's position and looking at the number of not only endpoints, the attack vectors, all the things that are being handled, being able to have real time risk from these newly adopted tools. I mean, for you, how long has it been that you have used AI to augment identity and access management?
Yeah, I think from a Savient perspective, we have been on the what I call as intelligence journey for
Okay.
over 7 or 8 years now,
Okay.
and we have always used the latest tools that are available at our disposal to ensure that we are always on the cutting edge and we are always taking any and every opportunity that presents itself. So things like using machine learning techniques to improve the security controls, ensuring that we are able to uh, peruse through different types of risk signals and ensure that we are able to give the right recommendations to the end users so that they can take the right decisions
Mhm.
in terms of securing their identity perimeter. That has always been a continuous evolving journey for us. And I think AI has just allowed us to amplify and ensure that the accuracy of a lot of those recommendations that the system has been delivering is much more accurate, right? Much more improved.
Right.
And that's what we are seeing. A great opportunity for us is to ensure that we are bringing in now risk signals from all different types of sources, whether it is the device, whether it is the network, whether it is the human itself, or whether it is the non-human interacting with other non-human identities in your environment. How can we bring those complex relationships, the real-time activity, the behavior, combine a lot of all those different risk signals, and then give you more accurate recommendations in terms of, should you stop this particular transaction that is
Right.
happening in the environment, or should you allow it? If you have concerns, then should you just allow it for a short duration rather than giving that access in perpetuity? So a lot of those decisions are being now, we have the platform that allows us to make a lot of those decisions in real time and at scale.
That's fantastic. And, at RSAC, very often we focus on large enterprises. And I'm curious with Savient, have you found anything that particularly assisted mid-size organizations with switching to the modernization that Savient offers?
Mandy, could you repeat the question? I think we lost
Sure.
in between.
Okay. So that is fantastic. And I'm curious. So often at RSAC, we focus on very large enterprises, and yet medium and small enterprises are just as vulnerable to people, leveraging every single vector against them. And I'm curious for potential customers of Savient or teams adopting your modernization of identity and access management. Have you seen or found any particular niche that you thought was very useful for smaller size organizations?
Yeah, so I think, Mandy, that's an excellent question, and the way we look at it is, identity governance and administration programs typically in the traditional mindset used to be very expensive programs. You used to put in a lot of resources, a lot of investments to ensure that the programs are successful, simply because they touch a lot of aspects of every employee or every external entity or user that you have who is interacting with your assets. And that has been restricted to select domains, select large enterprises who have those resources to spare, and ensure that the identity programs have been successful. And I think the biggest advantage that AI has brought forward is how do we ensure that some of the mundane or the routine activities that used to take a lot of effort in the traditional IGA landscape are now simplified and automated to a large extent with AI that has been introduced in every dimension of the platform. So if you look at Savient, some of the techniques that we have leveraged are things like how can we simplify the entire integration process and integration experience of
Right.
how do you onboard more applications onto your governance platform so that you can start automating all the identity and security controls for that platform, right? So we have eliminated a
Right.
lot of the friction that you used to traditionally have. Similarly, when you are talking about rolling out new IGA processes to end users, there used to be a lot of friction where you used to embark upon a very big training and enablement journey where you are educating the users on how to request, what should they request, who should be approving it. Now, a lot of those tools have been, or the process or the workflows have been simplified by introduction of AI, where we are able to give the right recommendations to the end user saying what should they be requesting for, how long should they be requesting for, or we are eliminating a lot of the guesswork from the decision makers in the organization who now have great tools that help them visualize that if I approve this request, what is the change from a risk posture perspective in an organization, and based on that, should I approve this access in perpetuity, or should I give this access only for the next 4 hours that the person is looking for, or should I put in a different reporting mechanism so that even if I'm giving the access, I'm putting a more rigor around reviewing that access, right? So I think a lot of these AI tools have eliminated the expense that is needed to adopt a lot of these IGA platforms successfully in the organization. And that's why I feel a lot of the small and medium sized businesses who have just the same amount of exposure, just like a large enterprise, are now much more confident in terms of leveraging the AI powered IGA platforms out there, and really doing their best in terms of trying to secure all the risky assets or the critical assets that they have in the organization.
That fills me with a lot of hope, honestly. I mean, whether if I'm coming from a security team and I see that Savient has this track record of having incorporated AI tools and stayed at, like you said, at the head of the, what do you call it, the intelligence factor.
Intelligence suite. Yep. Yep.
Yes. Um, then that if I'm on the security team, I go like, okay, wow, I can understand how and why this would simplify our process. And I'm curious then too. My next question would be, what sort of proof of concept or trial does Savient offer? Like, how quickly would I see that? Oh, this is providing me a benefit right now.
Certainly. That's a great question again, Mandy. So one of the things that we announced at RSA, which we're really proud of the accomplishment that we have been able to bring forward in the market, is what we call as identity security posture management. So in a way, it is sort of a distillation of 10 years of our company's journey in terms of really honing in what are the different risk signals, what are the vectors that we need to evaluate so that we can
Okay.
identify the identity and access related risks for every type of identity out there, whether it is a human identity, whether it is a workforce, or whether it is your supply chain human access, or it could be privileged access. Or non-human access, right? And now,
Right.
as you are moving forward, agentic AI identities as well. What kind of
Yes.
access risks exist for them? And I think ISPM as a platform has allowed us to bring in a lot of those learnings and ensure that we are able to deliver that visibility very quickly. And then what we have done is, on top of that, we have put in a lot of our learning from how do we refine how we calculate risk in an organization. So what we also did along with the ISPM product launch is introduce the whole concept of a trust score. So essentially, every human's interaction with a
Mhm.
particular data artifact in the organization has a trust score associated with that. And if the trust score is high,
Ah,
you can reduce a lot of friction. Like, you don't have to get as many approvals as you need before you get access to a new asset.
and
Or
I'm curious on that. When and how is the trust score assigned, and then how is it augmented?
Yeah, so that's a continuous journey, right? I mean, when
Okay.
we start with the implementation, we look at the current situation in terms of how the access was granted, when was it granted, how often was it reviewed, is it being used the right way, and then we baseline the trust score, right? And as
Okay.
and when the person's access evolves in the organization, as you probably change jobs, you change roles, or you're working on different projects and assignments, we
Mhm.
are continuously reevaluating that trust score, and we are ensuring that it's always accurate, and that becomes the single biggest artifact in terms of how do we then determine and say that, what is being recommended, what is being approved, how much access do you need in the organization.
Fantastic. I So again, thinking if I'm onboarding Savient, I have my entire security stack. I have what I'm used to using for identity and access management. What is something else that I would face as I am really trying to stay at least on the cutting edge of modernization? What other things would I be facing and what other challenges would come up and what other support does Savient provide?
Yeah, I think we have seen organizations of all different shapes, sizes, and level of maturity, and I think
Okay.
everyone has made an attempt to implement some sort of identity management tool in their environment.
Hmm.
Some have custom homegrown tools. Some have got commercial products that they have deployed on-prem or on the cloud, and they have varied uh, success in terms of adopting and building those processes out. Obviously, as you would see at RSA as well, a lot of the identity security players are talking about a platform based approach, right, where you have
Correct.
got different types of features, functionalities, different type of products, all delivered from a one single holistic platform. But what is really important here is to appreciate that a lot of investment has gone in at our customers to manage identities over a period of time. And how do we ensure that we appreciate a lot of those investments and make the platform that we are now trying to introduce modular in nature, so that we can leverage a lot of the processes and the data, or the intelligence that is sitting in their environment, and ensure that we are able to take that, transform it, and ensure that it is able to drive and improve the future set of identity security posture that we are delivering within the organization. So it is really important for us to ensure that as we are introducing new technology, it is modular enough, it is augmenting the white spaces in your environment where you might have an over you don't have enough oversight in terms of the identity security risk. How do you prioritize those, get those under the ISPM oversight, and then you can start refining, okay, which processes do I need to improve first, right?
Right.
Which are the type of entities
Right.
that I need to start securing first, and then ensure that over a period of time, I'm able to realize the value with the organization without disrupting a lot of the processes that have already been implemented in the organization.
Oh, fantastic. So, uh, to wrap up, I'm shocked that our time is already coming to an end. This is a fascinating subject. And because you and Savient have potentially, I'm going to say 2 to 8 times the length of time with experiencing AI and putting it toward this identity and access management. When you take that experience and you forecast ahead, what do you feel are one or two of the largest challenges facing enterprises in the coming future?
Yeah, I think it will be in terms of ensuring that as we are introducing a lot of these new processes, new changes in the organization, we ensure that we are causing the least amount of disruption.
Okay,
Um, uh, but also ensuring that the new controls can stand the test of time, right? Which is what we call as
right.
being future ready. So it is very important to ensure that as you are building in the new processes, just adopt the zero trust principles
Mhm.
wholeheartedly, which is basically what it means is not only put controls, but ensure that you are continuously monitoring those controls from an effectiveness standpoint. you are continuously refining those controls to ensure that they stay efficient within the organization, and it can adapt very quickly as your organization changes or the demand evolve over a period of time. I would say that has been the single most biggest challenge when it comes to the traditional IGA that we are trying to
Oh,
address here. From a cloud perspective, it definitely brings us a lot of agility in terms of how we are building the product, we are building the platform, and we are bringing those capabilities to our customers. And what we are really looking for here is, customers to feel empowered that on the platform
yeah.
they have the right level of access, right level of customization that they can do to automate the workflows, to ensure that the identity security tools are able to cater and adapt to the organization's requirements in the best possible way. So for me, that is very important to ensure that the platform is future ready, but it is something that really embraces all the sharp edges and the curves that any organization has, which makes it unique.
Fantastic. Now, and I do. I hold the idea that overall identity is security. I mean, it kind of comes down to that. I also think that security can be just it's a feeling, but it becomes from actual either actionable intel or the data that um, sounds like Savient is helping its customers make. So, Amit, thank you so very much for joining us. And I hope that even though RSAC is technically over, that you have a fantastic rest of the show.
Thank you, Mandy. The journey definitely continues.
Excellent. So, thank you for joining us today. Now, to find out more about Savient, please visit securityweekly.com/Savient RSAC. And that is SAVIYN TRSAC. For all RSAC 2025 coverage by Cyber Risk Alliance, please visit securityweekly.com/RSAC. Thanks again, Amit.
Thank you.